Phil Hardwick, you are a master of new media, a blogger. You do all of these things, certainly more so than some of your fellow panelists, and you understand how Twitter and YouTube and things of that nature have evolved into weapons in politics. What do you think Senator Stennis would have done in interacting with that?
Oh, he would have given that to Rex and told him to blog and tweet and do whatever you have to do. He would not have done that. He would have carefully considered what he was going to say, and he wouldn't do things instantaneously and just tell what was on his mind without really thinking about it and really considering it. Two things, though, in regard to this media civility, I think most would agree that Watergate is where a lot of this started. That's when the media uncovered a lot of stuff, and you would probably know this better, but the press kind of changed a little bit. But I remember in 1973 when Senator Stennis came down to Meridian to the Naval Air Station, and they were dedicating a building there. And I think it was because his name was on it. And President Nixon came down. And so Senator Stennis got up and introduced the president, and this was right at the height of the Watergate stuff. And he turned to the president. He said, "I have some advice for you." He said, "It's 3 words: tough it out. Tough it out." So I think that said a lot about what he thought about what the media's role was and the institution's role was, I think.
And on the return flight to Washington, outside of the hearing of Senator Stennis, the president fired 2 of his staff people that had been helping cover up Watergate.
Right,
So
got him in trouble, that's right. Well, and one other comment, this Eve brought up Joe Biden and the famous table. I had the honor of, when I interviewed Joe Biden, to sit at that table. That's where we sat and we talked. And he pointed out that was the table where the Southern Manifesto was discussed. And I've seen pictures of all those senators sitting around there.
Well, it had been in Senator Russell's
That's right.
office, and Senator Russell at the time was chairman of the Southern Group.
That's right. So, but Joe Biden had a real affinity for that table right there. But one of the things that Senator Biden said, who of course would use Twitter, and I'm sure does use Twitter every day, he's not shy about the media at all. But he probably, he has documented the change in Senator Stennis over the years, from the time he went into his office when he was elected. And he was elected, his birthday had not occurred for the legal age for him to be a U.S. Senator. But anyway, that's another story.
Talking about Biden now.
Biden, that's right. And so he went into Senator Stennis and said, I wanted to introduce myself, as it was the custom. And Senator Stennis asked him, "So, well, what did you run on?" And he said, "Civil rights, sir." And Joe Biden said, "As soon as I said that, I knew I had said the wrong thing." He said, "But," and Senator Stennis didn't respond. He said, "Well, that's fine, that's good." And then he told me a story about how later on he went in the Senate dining room, and there was a table there that was full, and Biden got up and let Senator Stennis sit at the seat where he was sitting when Senator Stennis came in. He said he got a personal handwritten note the next day from Senator Stennis that said, "I noticed what you did when I came into the table, and I want you to know that I appreciate that." I mean, to me, that just said something a lot about Senator Stennis, and it really touched Joe Biden when that happened. And I think his respect for Senator Stennis was as high as it could be. So.
Governor Winter.
Let me just add a little bit, not to the Biden story, but Senator Stennis was known as the senator's senator. He would sit on the floor of the Senate. His Senate seat on the floor was right on the middle aisle, going down to the well. And he would sit there and for fairly long periods of time. And senators would come to him, and on both sides of the aisle, and it didn't matter who it was. It was kind of an amazing thing. I sat beside him a lot of times, and it was amazing to watch. And they would bring personal problems to him. They would bring, of course, policy problems and just kind of, what do you think, Senator, problems? You know, what do you think about this? And it was just it really an interesting thing to watch, the respect that the senators had for him across the board. And that's what really gave him, they knew he was a proper man. They knew he wasn't going to run out to the press and to the media and say something about them. They knew he could be trusted, that they knew his advice or his opinion was worth something. And it was just an interesting thing to sit there with him and watch that happen.